Hello and welcome to this video brought to you by Smart EduHub Mumbai. In today's video, I shall teach you about directed numbers. Now, what are directed numbers? Well, ideally, directed numbers are numbers which have got signs. Either they can be positive or negative. So now we need to understand the operations on directed numbers before we go ahead with solving questions from the past papers. So suppose if I want to perform the addition of directed numbers. Now there are different cases in the sense that you might have situations when you are supposed to add directed numbers with same signs. So you have to add numbers with same sign. Now under same sign also, it is quite possible that you might have you might have both the numbers with positive signs, or you might have both the numbers with negative signs. Also, it is possible that you have to add numbers with different signs, meaning with opposite signs. So add numbers with opposite signs. So we are going to study the addition of directed numbers in this way. So let us first understand how we are going to add the numbers with positive signs. So suppose I have a number like plus 3 and plus 5. Now when the signs are positive and if you have to add them, then there is nothing to worry, do the regular addition. So how much is 5 plus 3? 5 plus 3 is 8 and both the numbers have the same sign, so put the common sign. So nothing to worry if you have to add numbers with positive signs. Now if it is to add the numbers with negative signs, so if it is minus 3 plus minus 3, again nothing to worry, since the signs are same, you are going to add instead of subtract. So now 3 plus 3 is 6 and because the signs are negative, you're going to put the negative sign here. So the only difference between adding two numbers with either the positive or the negative sign is in both the cases you're going to add. But when both the numbers are negative, your final answer will have a negative sign, and with the positive, since both the numbers are already positive, your final answer will have a positive sign. So this is about how you're going to add numbers with positive and negative signs. Now coming to this, when you have to add numbers with opposite signs, for example, I need to add plus 3 and that plus 3 I'm going to add with minus 5. Now what is happening over here? The signs are opposite. When you want to add numbers with opposite signs, you will always have to subtract. So that means you're going to subtract here. Why? Because signs are opposite. Okay, so how much is 5 minus 3? 5 minus 3 is 2. After performing the subtraction, put the sign of the larger number. So larger number is 5, 5 is negative. So my final answer is negative 2 or minus 2. Suppose you had, instead of this, a sum where it was minus 3 plus 5. Again the signs are opposite, so you are going to subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. Like I told you, when the signs are opposite, you will write the answer by subtracting and put the sign of the larger number. Now larger number has got a sign of plus, it's positive 5, so my final answer is going to be positive. So the only change in the final answers is because of the signs. Okay, so these are some rules you need to keep in mind when you are solving sums based on directed numbers. Now with this in mind, let us begin by solving a few past paper questions. This question has been taken from May June 2002, paper 2 and question 7. The temperature decreases from 25 degrees Celsius to 22 degrees Celsius. Calculate the percentage decrease. Now the final temperature was 25 From 25, the temperature has decreased to 22 degrees Celsius. So now the temperature difference is 3 and the difference of 3 is on 25. So 3 upon 25 into 100. So when you do this, you get 25 ones are 25, 25 fours are 100. So your final answer is 12. So the percentage decrease is 12%. This question has been taken from May June 2006. It's question 3 and it's paper number 2. The table gives the average surface temperature in degrees Celsius on the following planets. Then the various planets are mentioned along with the average temperatures. A. Calculate the range of these temperatures. Now always remember the range is the difference between the two values, that is one maximum value and one minimum value. So if you see over here, 350 is the highest temperature of Mercury. So if I do 350 minus 200, that leaves me with 350 plus 200, which is equal to 550. So my range is 550. Also, it is quite possible that someone could have done, it's just a difference between the two temperatures. So you can start with the lowest temperature and you can then find the difference between the lowest and the highest. So that will give you minus 550. So the mark scheme will say minus 550. Now that minus means minus is optional. Even if you don't write minus, they will not cut your marks for that, right? Okay. The next question is, which planet has a temperature 20 degrees Celsius lower than that of Uranus? Now, in negative numbers, you need to remember that if at all you have two negative numbers, for example, minus 200 and minus 220. So difference between these is 20 degrees. If these would have been 200 and 220, obviously would have said that 220 is greater. But whenever there are two numbers, both have negative signs, then the number with the negative sign, which is largest in value, is the smallest. So between minus 200 and minus 220, minus 220 is the smallest number. Okay. So then the question is, which planet has a temperature 20 degrees lower than that of Uranus? Now Uranus has a temperature of minus 200 degrees Celsius. Like I told you, a number which is having a greater value but again with a negative sign will be smaller than that of Uranus. So 20 degrees lower than Uranus will be minus 220 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now let's go ahead to the next question. Now this question has been taken from October-November 2011 paper 2-3 and question number 9. In Vienna, the mid-time temperatures in degrees Celsius are recorded during a week in December. This information is shown below. The temperatures are stated. Calculate the difference between the highest temperature and the lowest temperature. Now the highest temperature, as you can see, is 2. So that's 2 degrees Celsius. And the lowest temperature is -3. So the difference between them is 2 plus 3, which is 5. So what I've done is I've taken the highest temperature and I've subtracted the lowest temperature from that. They have only asked you the difference. So another way of solving this would have been, take the lowest temperature and find its difference from the highest temperature. So that would have given you -3 minus 2, which is -5. So the answer accepted by the CIE is 5 or -5. Next part tells us to calculate the mean temperature. Mean temperature is the sum of all the temperatures. So I get these sum of all the temperatures. Now this I'm going to divide by the number of temperatures that I've taken. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So divide this by 7. So let's see what's the answer. So Minus 2 plus 2 gets cancelled, plus 1 minus 1 gets cancelled. So minus 3 minus 2 is minus 5 divided by 7. So your answer could be minus 5 divided by 7 degrees Celsius. I'll tell you the distribution for the 2 marks. For showing the division step, this step, you get 1 mark. And for writing your final answer, you again get 1 mark. This question has been taken from May June 2013, paper 2-1 and question number 1. On January day in Munich, the temperature at noon was 3 degrees Celsius. At midnight, the temperature was minus 8 degrees Celsius. Write down the difference between these two temperatures. Like I told you, difference is open-ended. So in that case, I can either take the lowest temperature and subtract the highest from it, or I can take the highest temperature and subtract the lowest from it. So what I mean is I can do minus 8 minus 3, which gives me minus 11. So that could be one of my answers. Or I could do 3 minus minus 8, which is 3 plus 8, which again is 11. So the answer could either be minus 11 or plus 11. Fine. Now this question has been taken from May June 2014. It's paper 2-3, question number 1. In March 2011, the average temperature in Kiev was 3 degrees Celsius. In March 2012, the average temperature in Kiev was 19 degrees lower than in March 2011. Write down the average temperature in Kiev in March 2012. So the temperature was 3 degrees Celsius. That was in March 2011, and it was lower by 90 degrees in March 2012. So that means it was 19 degree less in 2012. If you solve this, you get minus 16 degrees Celsius, and that's your answer.